Hi guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Between Us Girls. That's between me, Tendai, your host, and the lovely Dr. Stee, who's our resident media medic. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thanks Tendai. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about a very scary topic.
Is it scary?
It's very scary. It's very scary. Hormonal nightmares. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're looking at I guess how the hormones can maybe play havoc in our bodies, looking at PMS all the way to menopause.
Yeah.
So let's break down, PMS and stuff. Is it really that bad? Because I think different people have different experiences.
Yeah. So firstly, we could first get clear of what exactly PMS is. Premenstrual syndrome. It happens just about a week before you go in your periods. And the reason why it happens is because the levels of your hormones affect this chemical in your body called serotonin. So serotonin is responsible for your mood, for your sleep, for your appetite. And when it's decreased, it wreaks havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the symptoms would be moody, very moody, you can't sleep,
You're kind of describing me a little bit. Yeah.
Or you can wake up really happy, and then a few hours later, you are so irritable and just snapping at everyone. And then you're crying. And you're like, what is happening to me?
Or you're watching an advert about beans and it moves you.
And you start crying
Yes.
you can't believe the beans of the world.
Absolutely. So I think most of us girls, we can relate to this whole situation on PMS. But like you said, there's, a more pronounced version, I think.
Yes. So most girls do go through PMS, 75% actually. So it's really common. In your life sometime, you're going to have some mood changes to do with PMS. But there are some serious mental health syndromes that are stemmed from PMS.
Okay.
So there's premenstrual dysmorphic disorder,
Yeah.
or PMDD.
Okay.
I know it's a big word.
Take us through that, yeah.
So it's basically PMS but worse. And these girls women can't function at all when they're going through PMS. The moods are just so pronounced that they have excessive mood swings, excessive depression, can't get out of bed kind of situation because of the PMS, because of the hormones. And yes, most women will have PMS, but only about 3 to 8% will have PMDD.
Is that a genetic thing that you inherit?
It's really difficult to know what the cause is, really. It's something which just occurs as a rare occurrence. There's something else as well called premenstrual exacerbation.
Okay.
This is where you have depression already, and then when you're going through PMS, it's much worse.
Okay.
So ladies with depression, ladies with anxiety, their symptoms get really pronounced during PMS. So that whole cycle, the period, their menstrual cycle dictates how bad the mental health is, which is quite a sad situation.
Definitely. So when you say like incapacitated type of, I think you used that word, or that's how I received it in my mind.
Yeah.
It's not getting out of bed, not eating, not going to work. What's the situation?
They can't work. They can't do anything. It's daily function. Can't make themselves something to eat. They just can't do anything. So that's how bad it can be. But there are treatments that they can use.
Okay. So what can you look out for in yourself if you feel like, you're really out of order?
Yeah.
In order for you to go and then seek the treatment?
Yeah. So PMS is normal, like we said. But when you do have these excessive signs, it's better to go and see a doctor. A gynae would be the best to help you. And what they'll do, they can do some investigations looking at your hormone levels to see that when you're on your period, is it normal? When you're in PMS, how bad is it? So then they can prescribe some treatments for that.
Okay.
Usually they'll put you into something that regulates your hormones, which is some sort of hormonal replacement therapy, or the pill. You can go on the pill just to stabilize. But some people actually need antidepressants to help, because the level of the serotonin needs to come back to normal. So you can either help with the hormones or help with the chemical messenger, which is the serotonin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as a female, obviously you have a sense of how much of an importance hormones play in your life.
Yes.
And people throw out a lot of comments casually and things like that. And I've caught myself in different situations where I think I need to check my cycle because there's something
You're
a little bit
about to.
irregular.
You actually
about me.
remember that, oh, I'm going to be on.
Yeah,
when
well,
you
I
snap at
downloaded-
someone.
I downloaded an app, right? So to monitor my cycle and stuff and look at my symptoms, and then so now I just pull out my phone and I'm like, today, what are we? And it's calculating stuff. But yeah, you'll be snapping at people, or sometimes for me, things are just too funny. Like I'm crying with laughter for no reason over the smallest thing.
Yeah, so I guess it can be both ways with the moods, either too happy or too sad, too emotional, just generally not yourself.
Right.
And a lot of the guys get the brunt of it because like, what did I do wrong? But it's easier when you understand that this is normal. I have an imbalance going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have that understanding, it's easier now to regulate yourself and say, it's not that funny. It's not that sad.
Yes, exactly.
Just the hormones.
It's just normal.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So take me through like different age groups, right?
Yeah.
Do the syndromes that you've described, do they start immediately from when females get their period, or is it something that the probability of them increases, or what sort of happens through the different stages of how women's bodies change?
Okay, so generally from the time a girl starts having her periods, that is when the hormones now start coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
The estrogen levels, the estrogen, progesterone, those are the female hormones
Right.
that cause a period to happen, that cause ovulation. So as she grows older, towards menopause, the levels start changing, and the messengers of that are sent to the eggs are now different. So there is obviously that different stages in life. But PMS is not something that is for one age group. It can happen at any time, at any age, because it's just based on the cycle of that month. You can actually have PMS 1 month and no PMS the next month.
Right.
So even within the same woman, it varies. So over time, you have your menstruation as normal from around age 9, 10, 11, 12, up to about 45 to about 55, which is when you get into menopause.
Thanks, Dr. Stee. We're going to pause it right there. So after the break, guys, we're going to get more into menopause and how it affects women as you get closer to that stage in your life. So don't go away and make sure you tune back into Between Us Girls. Hi guys, welcome back to our episode on hormonal nightmares. We've been talking about PMS and now we're getting into menopause.
Yes.
Menopause.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So menopause is one of those topics like you feel like it's not relevant to you because it'll never happen, but it will happen. And menopause basically is the end of the menstrual cycle. When a woman has not got a period for 1 year, then now that's menopause. It's divided into perimenopause when maybe there's spotting here and there, and then menopause is after 1 year.
Okay, so I've read a few, in magazine articles, a few interviews where the person is talking about how there's early type of onset menopause where it comes when you're young.
Yes.
How common is that, and what's that about? Is that something that's genetic? Is that just bad luck, and you'd want to have kids later on in life? Like what are the issues surrounding early menopause?
So there are rare congenital abnormalities where you get early menopause. The same way you can get early puberty. You can have a 5-6-year-old going into her periods. The same way you can now have the reverse of a woman going to menopause very early. And that is quite an unfortunate situation because then now she can no longer have eggs that are released for conception, which is another issue of infertility. So
and also the mental health aspect as well, coming to terms with
yes,
something you thought you had a say in.
yeah, but it's not all bad.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story, personal story.
Okay.
So after my postpartum complication, I had pelvic abscess, and my uterus and my ovaries were heavily infected, so much so that they had to remove them.
Pelvic. Okay. Okay, I didn't see that last part coming.
Yes.
Okay. Pelvic abscess. Was there? What does that mean?
So this was just a complication which came after I gave birth.
Okay. Yeah.
And this now led to the complication of me also now having to get my uterus and my ovaries removed. Therefore, I went through what they call surgical menopause.
Yeah.
Yes. So the body is just shocked into not having any hormone produced, no eggs released. And overnight, I was upside down.
Yeah.
And those were the symptoms of menopause. Don't worry, I had already had my tubes cut. We had already had enough the kids that we wanted.
Okay.
So it was fine. But I wasn't prepared for the nightmare of menopause. Crying one moment, laughing the next moment. You're talking to someone, suddenly you're sweating from your head to your toe.
The hot flashes, right?
Yes. Hot flashes are one of the most common symptoms of menopause. They're the ones that really tell people you're now going through this. But there's so much more than the hot flashes.
Right.
There's issues with your bone density. You actually have painful bones because now your calcium deposits are much lower, and because there's no estrogen. You also have issues with your cervix, so the lubrication is an issue, and you can have dry vagina and very painful sex, but it can be solved simply with hormonal replacement treatment, and that's what I started on.
So these are like taking tablets and...
Yeah, taking tablets. Some people want to do it more naturally, like trying to find ways of going through it and saying, I don't want to take a tablet for life. It's not really for life. You take it for a couple of years, tiny tablet. It just gives you a boost of the estrogen that you don't have, and then it regularizes all those hormones that you're missing. So some of the natural methods, exercise, weight loss, good nutrition, manage your stress well, get a lot of rest. That alone can manage your menopause and keep you balanced. And yeah, it's really not that bad.
Okay. I know I'm looking at you
Have
kind
I
of
shocked
intensely.
you?
Because I was like, what? Okay, fine. And I'm reassured that you're like, okay,
no,
yes,
it's fine.
It's fine.
And that's why I'm saying that it may be scary approaching it, but it's really something that can be managed. And if you don't really know how to manage it, there's lots of information available. Your doctors can provide it, but there are lots of new ways. I've heard of this meditation and yoga therapies that people are doing, acupuncture, to try and manage those symptoms, just to control it and have a more regular life, regular days.
Do the symptoms fade out over time?
Yes, so it happens over time. It'll be about 5-6 years.
Okay.
So it's not something that will happen to you
Not a
forever.
switch.
Yes.
Okay.
And as you go older and out of that stage, it's something that won't be a problem anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you feel the same. You feel fine.
I am me. Look at me. I'm fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. I mean, at least from your perspective, you, like you said, you'd had the kids and everything.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky.
Yes.
But some people are not so lucky that they may have to go through menopause before having kids. So in that case, there are options like freezing your eggs and just in case you reach menopause before you have children. And in this time where we're having later and later pregnancies, because of the way the world is working, women are more educated and they're able to make choices for themselves to say, I don't want a child right now. They might change their mind when they're 40. So in that case, then you need to be aware that menopause is approaching, that biological clock, but there are things that you can do just to safeguard your future and your choices.
Awesome. Oh. Okay, that's been very, very enlightening. I feel like there's There's lots to talk about in there, and I guess continuing to learn about your body and what's going on with you is important.
I think your body is your number one doctor. Your body will tell you what to do. So if there are any changes, just note them down and then let the doctor know when you go and see them.
Okay, that's great. Could you sort of talk me through a little bit of the process of sort of the mental impact of going through menopause as well? These like hormonal changes. I mean, I guess as you get older, or let's say it's a normal progression to menopause, right? And there wasn't an upset. Sort of the mental preparation and acceptance of what's going on. Like, what's that facet of this process like? And are people conscious that they need to do that as well?
Yes. So it can be exacerbating in terms of if you're already depressed, if you already have a disorder like anxiety disorder, it can worsen it because now your chemicals are all out of balance. And like I said, estrogen and progesterone, they're the ones responsible for your serotonin. So when that is messed up, then the serotonin levels go down.
Right.
You're more prone to depression. You're more prone to just being in a low mood generally. So you need to watch out for that. And treatments do include antidepressants. They are medical doctors who put you on that just because you're on menopause.
Right.
And like we say, it's a life change. A woman has come of age and she'll be like, oh, maybe it's a traumatic thing. So that can also put her into that zone of maybe my life has passed me by and I didn't have kids or whatever the case may be. But it does affect mental health. So that is something to look out for. Make sure that you're self-aware that could happen to you and bring it up the next time you see the doctor.
Okay. Can we have a converse situation where someone is like, yay, I'll never have my period again?
That's me. Do you know how much those things cost?
Yeah.
But then again, hormonal replacement is also very expensive. So it balanced itself out.
Okay. All right. Interesting topic. Thank you for that. Guys, make sure you tune in every week for our episodes, more discussions coming up. And if you want to continue this particular conversation, make sure to hit us up on our social media, Thando channel, that's capital T and capital C. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you next time.